And welcome inside the Backstage Pass. Here it is for a Tuesday, September 27th. Hard to believe we're just a few days from beginning October, and the weather really feels like it outside here in Texas. Finally, we can say you can stand outside more than about 15 minutes without sweat on your brow, which is a good thing as we're presented by our friends at Bangtail Whiskey and our friends at Hank Jr. Productions here live on the YouTube channel. And of course, at the Sports Guys podcast.com, we do a mix of sports and music, and pleased to be joined by, I tell you, I've been looking forward to this one for quite some time. She's a great performer, a great singer in her own right too as well, and she's been nominated for some big awards in the industry. We're going to talk about that and then some as Crystal Lewis joins us here on the Backstage Pass. Crystal, how you doing?
Hi, I am doing great, and I am sorry to say that I cannot speak highly of California right now in terms of the weather because we're in the 90s all week, high 90s. It is not fall here. I'm not happy about it, but I'm ready. I have literally carry a fan like everywhere at this point. I'm ready for some rain.
Yeah, it definitely is. Just the cooler temperatures were welcome this week, and I tell you what, my heart goes out to our neighbors and friends over in Florida as they're going through this hurricane. We've been through them down here in Texas. We know what it's all about. So, God bless everybody and hope they make it out in time and their property and of course everything else does not get damaged. It comes to do what it's going to do, and then everybody can return back to their homes and their livelihood in Florida. Hey, I wanted to start here with this because you've got a fantastic album. We were talking a little bit before the show, the Together We Can jazz album that's out there. So many great collaborations with so many great artists and people all over the entertainment industry to help you put this project together. But I wanted to start here with you kind of in reading your doing my homework for the show and all the prep. Uh, the fact that you've been doing this thing for a long time, this thing called music, and this thing is not easy. I hear stories every day from artists all the time. But speaking of California, there was something that took place on a hiking trail for you years back. Am I correct on this? Because you had one of those kind of, I don't want to say come to Jesus moments, but I love to hike and I love the outdoors. So I know we get solitude in doing that, and it allows you to think and process your thoughts. Tell people that story a little bit too, and going to the top of the hill and realizing a very important moment in your life, right?
Yes, that's happened to me a number of times, specifically on this one trail because it's um it's a series of hills and some of them are steeper than others, some of them are shorter or longer. And I have I've done this hike a number of times, and for some reason I tend to do it when like in the heat of the day instead of going super early in the morning. And so there's moments where I get certain um distance along the trail and I think I could turn around now. That I just feel like, oh my gosh, I just look ahead and see how many more of these hills I have to
Mm-hmm.
go, and they just seem to get steeper and steeper. But this one time in particular, I turned around and I realized how far I'd come. And when you focus on each thing that's just right in front of you, I think it's easy to forget the cumulative
Mm-hmm.
amount of space and ground that we cover in our lives. And so that was a really helpful, I think, pivotal moment for me to realize, okay, if I've made it this far, and those were hard, I know that I can make it, over the next several ups and downs, and uh, manage to figure out, how to get where I'm going. So, yeah, I love the beautiful, I call them downloads,
Mm-hmm.
revelations or downloads that come from being out in nature is always never ceases to amaze.
You talk about just that longevity in a career that's so tough, and you see people and you talk to people about what it takes to make it in this industry. But 3.5 decades. When you think back about that, just saying those words right there, and launching your career, and you remember you were a Christian artist as a teenager. I grew up listening to your stuff. I loved it, and just to ascend to a very dynamic artist that you are, and you can do so many things with your music. When you think back to, I mean, that's a long time. When you say 3.5 decades. What goes through your mind, and what sort of memories do you have? And I guess what is the key to longevity in this thing?
I'll tell you in 20 years. Um, it's, I don't know. I think it's a little bit different for everyone because I've done things that people told me, like, that's absolutely the opposite thing you should be doing if you want to maintain a long career. From the simplest things of changing my hair color to doing, a completely different, switching lanes dramatically and doing a completely different genre type of music. Those are not big, obvious things that you would do in an attempt to have a lengthy career.
Mhm.
So I feel like I've been really fortunate, and I have figured out how to evolve, and that is not only from a musical standpoint, but in my heart and in my mind, and looking at things differently. And I think that's a big key is being aware and being willing to kind of take risks and
Mhm.
jump off cliffs and do things that people tell you can't do. Changing your mindset and perspective, and coming to terms with the fact that actually, yes, you can. You can do whatever you want if you put your mind to it. So, my memories, of course, are extensive because I was a teenager, as you said, when I began, and I got married
Mhm.
very early on. I had kids early. We were talking before the show about your almost 2.5-year-old daughter. I have a 2.5, almost 2.5-year-old granddaughter.
Wow.
And that's just mind boggling to me that I have two kids that are old enough to be married and have children of their own. And they're all also engaged in music. And that right there, I feel like, okay, if everything stopped for me tomorrow, I will have really done my job,
Mhm.
in um, I don't know, influencing them in some
Mhm.
way, musically and otherwise. So, it's a joy and a gift and such a privilege to be still having some kind of influence
Mhm.
on various levels on other people, from my own kids to other artists. And I can't totally take all the credit for it, but I have hustled my behind off to get here for sure. So I can take some credit.
You're right, no doubt about that. Hustling is the key to, well, to get where you want to go. Let's go back to before we talk about the latest, just great piece of work. Let's go to Rhapsody a little bit because this really opened a lot of doors. I still love the Red Dress album cover that was out there too at the same time, and you look like you had a lot of fun
Oh,
putting this together. Hey, Heartbreak was one of my favorites off of there. Really set the tone for the album. Give me some of the best memories and just stepping in the studio to put out more great music, 10 songs that a lot of people have heard, but maybe some people have not.
thank you so much for even just mentioning it, because it really was a hugely pivotal project for me. It was my first foray into that kind of jazz. I did a Christmas album in 2000 with the Peter Erskine Trio. That was a very traditional jazz trio record, which kind of lit the fire under me to want to do more of that. That was a long time ago, but uh, I did a Kickstarter in order to fund this Rhapsody project, and the dream, immediate dream, actually uh, was the dream came to life because of that photo, because of the red dress photo. My dear friend Jeremy Ryan took this picture, and I was like, oh, I want to make a record that sounds like that looks. And so that's kind of initially how the project was born. But the dream was to get inside Capitol Records
Mhm.
studio in LA. I had never worked there before, and make this project where projects like this had been birthed by Frank Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald and Judy Garland and these amazing iconic people who had worked in that room. And so that is the big memories for me, where we really only recorded over 2 days, one in Capitol and one in a smaller studio. And I mean, literal actual dreams come true, getting to work with that caliber of musician and engineer and in that space. And so, yeah, I'm so grateful that we did that.
It's such a great record, no doubt. I mentioned that first song too, and of course the title track to it. But one I want to kind of pinpoint on there and kind of put out there on that kind of that front burner is Sunrise. It was a great way to wrap up the album. It has such great meaning to it. Kind of explain to the audience a little bit about the idea, the thought process, and the writing of that one.
I had written down a simple phrase in my journal that basically became the chorus. Sunrise means another chance. It'll be all right. And I was in Montana for the birth of my grandson, my first grandson, who's now 4. And I was staying with my son, and my son's a musician, as I mentioned. And so we just went into his little studio, and I said, Solomon, I have this weird idea. I want to write a song in like 7 minutes, not record it, whatever, like write it from beginning to finished. We could play it for somebody in the least amount of time possible. Well, I think I checked my phone. I set a timer, and the first time I looked at my phone was 22 minutes. So total fail on the time lapse there. But we wrote it together, my son and I, and it was our very first writing collaboration. And it continues to mean so much to me. The reminder that no matter how bad things get, the sun is still there, and it still comes up for us. If we're breathing, it's another chance to get things right, do things different, grow, evolve, all of that. So remains a very special song to me for sure.
Beautiful, beautiful song on that album, Rhapsody. Now, I may mess this name up, but I'm going to go down swinging if I try. Like I said, when it comes down to it, because I love Christian music, and I'm going to go back to 17. So when I say the title of this album, I don't want the audience to make fun of me. Suel Talo. I'm probably way off?
No, you're close.
Okay.
Suéltalo.
Suéltalo. Okay, my Spanish is just I gotta work on that too. And the funny thing is, like, I have a great chance at that because I did marry a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Hispanic lady, and we've been together, married for 10, 11 years now, coming up on to as well, or 12 years. And
Nice.
she won't let me forget that either. So that's a good thing. But beautiful album, and there's something for everybody on there. And I've been listening to that one for many, many years, and I'm sure a lot of the songs on there still hold a special place in your heart too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was a special process as well. Yep.
Love that one too. Like I said, I'm not even going to try to pronounce another one too. That, but you did a great feature on there. Lily Goodman, I believe, was on that album too with you in the last song on there. And I'm not going to try to pronounce that for the audience, will you?
Do you know what? I can't even remember. I would have to look at
Cantare. Okay. Cantare. See, my Spanish is way off, and I hope the audience doesn't make fun. I love that song, and I love what you did with Lily on that arrangement too.
Yeah, she's a Texas person, yeah?
She is. She sure is.
We
I
met
love that song.
We met there, so yeah.
Good stuff. No, just a great album too. So, folks, again, the music's out there across all the platforms. Well, I tell you what, before I jump into Together We Can, let's have you play a little something for us. I know audience is like, just have her play music, Brandon. You be quiet and all the good stuff. So, but again, the album is fantastic. We're gonna break down some songs again. Together We Can out there across all the digital platforms. So, what would you like to sing a little piece for us today?
Sure. I'm going to actually do a little, this will be a lovely segue into talking about Together We Can. And we could talk about this song first after I sing it. And I am going to grab a note out of thin air, and hopefully it will be relatively close to the key that it's in on the record. We'll see. So this is just a little abbreviated version of this song. It's called She Was Here.
Here we go.
Okay. She was here. She believed in other possibilities. She was here, yeah. She turned our dreams into realities. A student, a teacher, disciple, a preacher, a giver, receiver, a doer, a dreamer. And I can say I want to be like her. Oh, she was here. She encountered the unknown at every turn. She listened, paid attention, and she learned. Then she flew on wings of courage like a bird. Oh, she, you, me. Yeah. You may not know it, but you are riding your footsteps too, doing your thing like only you do. Oh, yeah, you're making your mark, state of the art. No right or wrong way to do it. Just follow your heart. That incomparable spark. They'll say she was here. She believed in all the possibilities. She was here, yeah. She turned our dreams into realities. A student, a teacher, disciple, a preacher, a giver, receiver, a doer, a dreamer. And I can say I want to be like her. Oh, she was here.
And listen to you sing all day long, my friend. It's acapella. It's right there. Love it too. And the horns, the instrumentation on this record is fantastic. So let's start right there. I mean, one of the greatest in the industry that everybody knows. This arrangement with Tori Kelly. This song. I mean, this is just a beautiful song. Track number 5 on the record for people that want to check it out on Together We Can. Let's break this one down a little bit and the arrangement you had with Tori.
Thank you so much for highlighting it. And incidentally, we did it in Spanish too. So perfect out of what we've been talking about. So Tori is one of those rare 20 somethings that grew up listening to me. I find it a little bit more abnormal to find people my kids' ages that are like, oh, I grew up listening to you too. Thank you to her mother, Laura. But we became friends a few years ago because we had a mutual friend, and I don't know, we just ended up connecting, and I have become good friends with her mother as well. And so, we've done a number of things together. I've sung with her live a few times. I sang on one of her records, just BGVs. I was just like in the choir. And so when I wrote this song, when I started writing for this record, I really wound up choosing my people first. Mostly I chose the people first, and then I chose the songs that I wanted to do with those people. And that included writing a bunch of originals. So this song in particular, because it's about legacy, it's about
Mm-hmm.
paying attention to those who have gone before us and paved the way for us to be able to, us being pretty much anyone, but of course I'm speaking largely about women in the
Mm-hmm.
industry, but it's widely applicable. I thought of Tori when I was writing the song. I also thought of my daughter, who's an up and coming inspired artist, Izzy Ray. I thought of Allie Brooke, who sings the Spanish
Mm-hmm.
version with me. I thought of Katy Perry, who I have had some connections with, who also grew up listening to me, and which is just shocking to me, by the way, still remains like, really? I mean, it's just so funny. But also it's been a big part of my growth over the last few years, the reality and the coming to terms with the fact that I have had this musical influence. And so that's what the song is about. It's about um, honoring and paying homage to people who've gone before. It's about the realization that we become people that other people look up to. And then, like this last verse that I just sang, is about passing the baton
Mm-hmm.
to this younger generation who are then going to be paving the way for people behind them. So, yeah, that's the gist of the song.
Beautiful song, no doubt. And I want to ask you about this because I know Tony Guerrero is a big time guy who knows what he's doing on these records. You guys have probably been friends for a long time. I know he worked on the Rhapsody project with you too. Great jazz trumpeter in his own right. Talk about just this name in itself and this icon in the music industry to work together on these albums and make them just jump off the page. My goodness.
Thank you. Well, it's interesting. I spent like the first, 20 something years of my career, I collaborated with my now I say former husband. I don't love the term ex. It just has such a negative connotation to it, and we're still friends and all of that. So my former husband and I produced and wrote a lot, pretty much all of those early records and songs and what have you together. Um, I didn't collaborate a lot with a whole bunch of other writers. I attempted that now and then, and occasionally it went okay, and then occasionally it went very badly. And so over the last few years, especially leading up to Rhapsody, or when I initially became single in 2017, um, I just was sort of like coming out of my skin. I was like this metamorphosis thing happening, and I was introduced to a handful of writers. And again, there were a couple of them that I got in a room with and tried to work with, and it just wasn't right. Then there were a couple I was like, oh, whoa, this is a whole different experience. I don't think
Mhm.
I've ever had this before. And it made me realize that collaborations can be great. So, yes, Tony and I had been acquaintances in years past. I can't really remember specifically how it was, just some kind of merging, being in the same room at the same time
Mhm.
on several occasions that we started to just hang out. And then for some reason, when I decided to do Rhapsody, he was the first person I called. And I have to say that it's hard for me to imagine collaborating with anyone else at this point because we just get on so well. I bring in ideas and he will help me flesh them out musically. I will ask him questions about lyrics on both of these two records.
Mhm.
He I think there's only 2 songs that we collaborated lyrically, and they were both on Rhapsody. For the most part, he is like, "Nah, I'm not touching your lyrics. Nope, you're good." And I always bring things to him for editing or for I guess, yeah, as an editor to be like,
Mhm.
"Can you just look this over?" And he has been such a cheerleader, and he's so good musically speaking, way beyond my capabilities as a musician. And I think we make a great team. And I'm really grateful for his influence and input. And yeah, I love what we have made together.
Well, you should be proud of it, no doubt, and you'll make a great team, and it shows in the body of work and the albums in itself too. All right, so before I take a quick break, I tell you what, I'm gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna come back and ask you about this great arrangement in this song called "Side by Side" with Kate Flannery. A lot of people know Kate Flannery too. That's on the record there. Again, Crystal Lewis here on the Backstage Pass. Again, live on the YouTube channel, and of course at the website out there too. We'll take a quick time out, get a word in for Bangtail Whiskey. Come right back, more with Crystal here on the Backstage Pass. Stay tuned.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here with the great Crystal Lewis. It is the Backstage Pass presented by Hank Jr. Productions and our friends over at Bangtail Whiskey. Check out our sponsors. We appreciate the work that they do to make the show possible to you at least 5 days a week. Well, I guess we say 5 days a week. We've had one show in the last 2 weeks, so Crystal makes number 2. I took a little break. I like to do it when I like to do it, so I do take some time off. So forgive me for taking some time off every now and then, too.
As you should.
I should, yeah, because you've seen how much stuff I've put out there. So it's good to have old shows kind of come back and run the best of or run some classics out there, too. So this arrangement with Kate Flannery on the record, again, Together We Can, which is out there across all the digital platforms for your listening pleasure. Side by Side. I loved it. I got it. Some people, look back and they're like asking me questions. Brandon, what? Okay, let me tell you this, but I'm going to hear it from yourself, the actual singer of this song. And what was it like to work with the great Kate Flannery?
Oh my gosh. Kate is an absolute joy. She's hilarious. I mean, I feel like that
Yeah.
goes without saying, but like she actually is truly funny. And she's a great singer. That's not a big commonly known fact, I don't think, because obviously she's known more for her acting. But she's wonderful. And I met her because of Tony Guerrero, my
Mhm.
producer. He is the musical director for a show that Kate does with Jane Lynch,
Mhm.
equally hilarious actress. And they do a show called oh shoot, what's it called? Something about Jane and Kate. I can't remember, but they do a Christmas thing and they do
Mhm.
another thing, Two Lost Souls, I think it's called. It's just so funny. And Tony has been working with them musically, and so I just like a groupie. I just went to their shows, and that's how I met Kate, and we just became friends. And Side by Side is a song that was written in the 20s, I believe. 20s or 30s, and I grew up singing it with my sisters and my mom, and it's just been
Mhm.
one of my all-time favorites, and I thought it would really lend itself to a big band vibe, and it'd be so fun to do. And I thought, when Kate and I sing, I feel like we kind of sound like sisters a little bit. Like we have a similar I don't know, it's a nice little
Mhm.
we merge well together
Mhm.
vocally. So yeah,
I love
she's
that one
great.
too. Now, this one, of course, I say icons in the industry. It didn't get any better. I can't help it. And Charles
Ah,
Jones, people know that name. You just have to say it one time, and that's pretty much synonymous with the music industry. My goodness, what was that like?
Charles is okay. One of the reasons that I chose, well, there were reasons I chose these specific people on this
Mhm.
album. Across the board, it was because I like them as humans. They are actual friends,
Mhm.
and they are some of my favorite vocalists. Like, I
Mhm.
want to listen to them. And that was my criteria for choosing the people to partner with on this project. Charles is one of the dearest souls. Just an absolute true joy to be around. He's beautifully encouraging and supportive and wonderful, literally gives the best hugs of anyone I've ever met, and has the most glorious smile. He lights up a room, and then he sits down at the freaking piano or organ and opens his mouth, and you're like, oh my God. And he's effortless. He really
Mhm.
is just effortless. So I Can't Help It is a song that I've been listening to since Off the Wall came out in 1979.
Mhm.
I was 10 years old. Michael Jackson was one of the earliest influences, one of the heaviest, earliest influences on me as a musician, artist, vocalist. And it was always one of my favorite songs. It's still one of my favorite songs. And I have always wanted to record it. And this was I don't know, I took this as my opportunity to do so.
Set a great tone for the record too, no doubt. Well, I tell you what, I love hearing you sing. I know the audience wants a little bit more of that acapella, so if you can do a little bit of something for us off that record again, because I just love it. And I'm going to come back after you do this and talk about just two of my favorites out there. You mentioned the one with Allie Brooke, and people know that Allie Brooke knows she used to be with Fifth Harmony, and of course one of our good friends of the show here, and a guy who's been in country music a long time, and Mr. Ty Herndon. We're going to come back and talk about those two
Yeah.
arrangements, but the floor is yours, and anything you'd like to do for us.
All right. I think I'll do a little side by side since we were
All
just
right,
talking.
that'll work.
Yeah.
Here we go.
All right. Well, we ain't got a barrel of money. Maybe we're ragged and funny, but we'll travel along, singing our song side by side. Well, we don't know what's coming tomorrow. Maybe it's trouble and sorrow. We'll travel the road, sharing our load side by side. Through all kinds of weather, what if the sky should fall? Just as long as we're together, it doesn't matter at all. When they've all had their quarrels and parted, we'll be the same as we started, just traveling along, singing a song side by side. Oh, we're traveling along, singing a song side by
Oh man, I love it. I love it. Guys, you got to go get this record together. We can from the great Crystal Lewis. Again, some amazing collaborations with some of the top names in entertainment. Some of the great vocalists out there. Make sure you go check that out too. Love that song, and I will say it's right there. That's up there. They're all great, but if there's one I kept repeating in my truck over and over again, it happened to be the that one,
Good.
which is fantastic. Just like you said, uplifting song. Love it so much there. Hey, let's talk about this one. I mentioned Ty Herndon because he's been on the program here with me a couple of times, and one of the great vocalists of the '90s country. You can't really not say '90s country and not say Ty Herndon when you're talking about those great songs that he put out there as a solo artist. Again, you said just everything about this album. A great list of great vocalists to work with, people that are personal friends of yours. Everybody Hurts. Everybody knows that song, and
Right.
what it meant to them when they first heard it. That a great arrangement on that too.
Thank you. Totally different, obviously, than the original, which was my intent. And
Mm-hmm.
I loved doing something with Ty specifically that was, I don't want to say outside of his wheelhouse, because the man can sing whatever he wants. Like, he's one of my favorite vocalists. Truly, I could listen to him all day long. But I loved making that song something very different than what it originally was. And then also putting Ty in that um in that space because I feel like it's a little bit unexpected. And because of his story specifically, and I won't tell it for him, but he has a very moving
Hmm.
story of redemption and falling and failing and getting back up and thriving. And he's just such an inspiration. And we really had an emotional moment together first in Nashville. Was before we recorded the song, but I was at his house and we were chatting, and he was telling me some things that he hadn't told me before about his story, and it was just heart-wrenching and intense. And so then to be in the studio together as he has come up and out of some difficult things over
Hmm.
this last couple of years was so, we both got teary, and it was beautiful and important, and really good. It added so much. I think that energy was really infused into that song, like the depth of what we were feeling, I think comes through. So
It's such a beautiful song, and it really, like you said, to make it different, to make it your own, and to kind of put it out there to say what you wanted to say with Ty. I thought you guys hit the nail on the head, no doubt about it. The
thank
the last one on there, let's talk about the amazing Allie Brooke. I'm sure there's a lot of adjectives that go on and on with her that
you.
can be said for ever since the days of Fifth Harmony. And the last one, Elia estuvo aquí. I'm gonna try to say that one pretty quick.
Hey,
I'm doing better.
listen, the only one thing I would correct, and that's ella. You
Hey,
have to say
yeah, because
double L as a Y.
as
Yeah.
a why. See, I've got to get back to my Rosetta. Rosetta Stone when I get a chance to do this. Beautiful, beautiful song, beautiful rendition with Ali, and that had to be so much fun to work with another icon in this industry.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun. And that's She Was Here. The song that I did with Tori Kelly is Ella estuvo aquí. That's She Was Here in Spanish. So it's the same
Hmm.
song, same sentiment. But I did several albums in Spanish over the years, and this was my first time to do something outside of that CCM or contemporary Christian genre in Spanish. And so to get to do it with a Latina who is like just, so she's so young, but she's again one of these young 20 somethings that
Hmm.
grew up in the church, and she grew up listening to me, and we just immediately connected through Tori Kelly. Tori introduced us, and she's making her way. She's stepping outside of the box that people put her in with, oh, you can just do this one thing in Fifth Harmony. And she's saying, no, I'm going to do something else different. And she's following in the steps of people like Selena and J Lo, and they paved the way for her. And so it's such a beautiful arc of a story, I think, that we kind of get to be a part of. And then obviously, at least, well, not obviously to you, but obviously to me, these are such special young women in my
Hmm.
life, like such true, genuine, good humans. I can't
Hmm.
say that enough. Like, that's not the case with everyone in this industry. And I can honestly say that is the case with every single person on this project. So
Well, I did definitely the work went into it, and you guys really showed it off with some of the best, like I said, remakes of the songs, and of course, put your own personal touch on it. So I loved everything and all the arrangements. And congratulations for working with all these great artists. Again, it's Together We Can, which is the album out there across all the digital platforms. Came out in May, but like I said, I know we're almost to October, but some people go get it as a stocking stuffer, as a gift card. Make sure you
yes,
guys do that to put it out there and put some great
please.
music on your holiday list out there. Get those streaming numbers even higher for the great Crystal Lewis here. All right, so I'm gonna have a little fun here, do some rapid fire. I love doing stuff like this, and sometimes it's not so rapid because it does take a little bit of thought. But I
Okay.
know with the holidays coming up, and I love to pull this question out because Christmas is, to me, I say year round, but I know some people that don't take down their lights for a couple of months after Christmas, but I've been victim of one of those before too. Any special plans for Thanksgiving or Christmas this year for you and the family?
I'm actually going to Ireland
Ooh,
just prior to Thanksgiving. And I'll be in Nashville just after Thanksgiving.
okay.
So quick little, whirlwind, travels there. But Thanksgiving, my mother's birthday actually is on Thanksgiving.
Hmm.
Well, it's the 26th, and I don't know if it falls right. I think it's Thanksgiving's just before that this year, but my mother just passed away in July. So this will be a very important, special Thanksgiving for my my family and I, my sisters, my dad and I. So it'll just be a unique, interesting new time to
Mhm.
reevaluate life and legacy and all of that. So oddly looking forward to it. It's not a frightening, like,
Mhm.
I mean, it's sad, of course, but it's also, I think, a beautiful gift that her life has been. So
Mhm.
it'll be nice to remember her at that time.
Well, my condolences to you, and definitely, yeah, I lost a very important lady in my life. She lived to 94, but we lost her in November of 19. But every day, that day goes by, I don't think about her. My grandma, it was like I called her mama because she took care of everything. And boy, when you misbehave, she'd take that switch out and set you straight pretty quick. And then, like I said, she'd make you your favorite breakfasts on those mornings. So, mama,
Love it.
grandma is, like I said, both are, like I said, up there at a better place. And just lost one of my great uncles. So I know going through all this, these times have been tough. Speaking of those times, when you talk about a lot of people going through what we've gone through over these last couple of years, and I guess we're kind of on the other side of it a little bit now. Definitely, we've come a long way. Did you find yourself, obviously, I mean, putting out this record? Did you find yourself writing more during those times, and also making, I guess, the necessary collaborations to put this record out? I know a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into this too. But how did you keep busy personally and professionally during these tough times?
This project, Together We Can, definitely was born during that season of being alone, which is interesting that I chose, obviously, to do a collaborative project after having spent so much time alone. Like, I need people. Um, but the writing process began then, for sure. And I don't know that I wrote necessarily more than I normally do. Um, I I have to say I kind of enjoyed the
That's nothing
the
wrong with that.
the time, you know?
Hmm.
I felt like it was the ultimate margin to kind of take a step back and reevaluate what I wanna do, why I wanna do it, uh, taking advantage of all the time to consider my calendar and what I wanna put on it and all that. So, I just yeah, I spent a lot of time writing, a lot of time doing yoga and walking. Oh gosh, so much walking.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
I love that. No, and time to reflect, to do a little self reflection. I think we all kind of use that time for that. I used that time to be something I wasn't before, and it became a father during it. So definitely, it made me a better person by going through something like that. Hey, do you ever think back? I guess during that time, did it allow you for, you mentioned about that self kind of care, but reflection on the huge things that you did in the '90s, of all the great. I know Fearless was a big one in 2000. All these different things, Grammy nominated. And I know people say, "Well, look at my mantle, and I'll do this, or I'll do this, or this brings back a memory of a tour we were on, or something that kind of came up." Was there self reflection in there too?
a little bit. I find it I I definitely think self-reflection is so valuable and important, but I think only in so much as it helps fuel the future. I don't like living in the past. I
Hmm.
sometimes I go, "Oh yeah, I did those things. I forgot," because they don't stay, right here in my mind so much because I focus so much on trying to gain momentum moving forward. So grateful for the things that I have accomplished and done. Um, and it's good to remember them. And I thank you for reminding me to remember them because it is good practice for sure. Yeah.
No.
But for me, it's similar to the hiking analogy. Like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, look how far I've come.
Hmm.
And it helps when I look forward, not to say, oh gosh, but look how far I have to go, but rather an inspiration to a reminder again that I'm capable of
Hmm.
doing whatever it is I set my mind to.
All right. So if there's a cheat day for food, and when it comes down to it, I know for me it's like a just a good pizza. I love having to make it myself, or you just get it to one of your favorite restaurants out there. If there's a cheat day for Crystal Lewis, and maybe I guess either alcoholic or non-alcoholic drink, when you got to have something there, or just food in itself, food and drink, what consists of a Crystal Lewis cheat day?
Oh gosh. Pancakes and bacon are my like that would be my go-to like meal. Um with probably blueberries and bananas, maybe, and syrup and bacon on top.
Ooh.
Yes. And then, I mean, this Bangtail whiskey
Mhm,
situation
mhm.
was like, that's sort of, I I would do that. That would be my, I might have to go get me a bottle of that because
I'm gonna talk to the owner and I'm gonna say the great Crystal Lewis wants a bottle. Brandon, he's in Nashville when I go up there to CRS. So, and even before that, I'll text him and say we got another customer and
yes, I am headed to Nashville in December. So yeah, I like a good old fashioned, a nice Manhattan. Yeah, I'm down with that.
yeah, he's doing a great job with it out there now. Like I said, just a couple of years it's been around. We've done very good things with that whiskey. It tastes very, very good, no doubt about it too. Let me do this one. When it comes to binge watching, I know I did a lot of that. Still do a lot of that with some of my favorite shows. What's the last binge watching show for Crystal Lewis?
Fleabag.
Fleabag. It's good. No doubt.
I just watched it for the second time. It's one of my top 5 all-time favorite. I absolutely adored the story, the writing,
Mm-hmm.
the wit. Oh yeah, it was moving. It was deep. It was funny. It was loved it.
That's another great
Also,
show.
I mean, I also binged The Bear recently.
The Bear. All right.
Absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend.
Hey, I'm going to go back to, and this is going to take you way back down. When I say old school, we've done some old school albums that I love, but with Christmas coming up, I'm going to play it, and I'm going to play Crystal's album, Home for the Holidays, which came out in 2010. If you've not heard this, there's some great Christmas, great songs in there. She put her personal spin. So with the holidays coming up too, any plans for some more Christmas music down the road? Because I thought that was one of my favorite holiday albums you ever did, and I loved it to the masses, and I still share it with people out there and friends and family because it's one of the best records for Christmas music ever made.
Thank you. I love the one. So I've done 2 Christmas albums. The first one came out in 2000,
Mm-hmm.
2000 or 2001, and that was just called Holiday, and that's my favorite. So moving forward, I think I've just done a couple of singles over the last couple of years that are Christmas related. I don't have any immediate plans to do any new Christmas music yet. That could change.
Okay.
I have a couple ideas that are in the works for next year that would include some new Christmas music. So, yeah, we'll see.
You just never know.
Yeah, you just don't know.
And I'll tell you that what was one of my favorites off the album, and I'll get this right. It was "O Come, Emmanuel," and that's one of the ones that you did off of that album too. Yeah, the memory's sharp, girl. I gotta stay sharp here too because it's a great thing too. So I love that one. And then I know you put a great spin on. I'm trying to remember the other one. Let it be to me. There's another great song on there too that I love from a great Crystal Lewis. Well, I tell you, it's been so much fun catching up. This album is fantastic out there. Together We Can across all the platforms. Go get that. Check out crystallewis.com. Hey, I want to be a guest at one of your shows one day if I ever get to come. Bring my wife, bring the baby, and we'd love to just see you perform in concert. I hope we get that luxury to do that one day. It's been a pleasure having you on, talking about old times, new times, and the best is yet to come when it comes to great music. Congrats on the album, all the collaborations, and thanks so much for being with us. Hope you enjoyed this.
Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you so much. Yeah.
You got it. And we finally worked it out too. We got it on the books and we finally did it after a couple of times. Crystal Lewis here. Check her out, crystallewis.com, and go make sure you guys check out Together We Can across all the digital platforms and the website, of course, for the tour out there, which Crystal is currently in the works right now. We'll see you guys this week. Lacey K. Booth, formerly of American Idol, she'll be coming on here. And, of course, maybe a couple of surprises here in the next few weeks here on the Backstage Pass. We'll talk to you soon tomorrow and Thursday at 4 o'clock. Same bat time, same bat channel. We'll see you soon. Take care.